Thank you very much for attending the launch of the Montserrat Remote Worker Program, both in person and virtually. My name is Vinaya Bass, and I'm the CEO of Bass Consultancy Services and the chairperson of this event. To start off the event, we will start with a territorial song, followed by the prayer by the Reverend Jessner Lewis Charles. Please stand for the territorial song.
Oh, Montserrat, dear motherland, your children raise your standard high in toil and tears to serve you well, a crowning jewel from God's hand. Oh, Montserrat, by nature blessed, to you your children sing. Come, well, oh, come, friend of all, to you your people cling.
Please be seated.
Let us pray. Most gracious God, we come now, God, at this time in your presence to thank you and praise you, God, and for your blessing upon our lives. To thank you and praise you, God, for your grace and mercy that make it possible for all to assemble here at this time to witness this great moment in the life of our country, the launching of remote workers program. People who got by our country, our leaders here in this country. I've inspired men and women, God, to serve our country, find new ways of God and to make life easier, God, for our country, for our people here in Montserrat. Here we are, oh God, to witness, oh God, this great moment. Being inspired, oh God, by you each and every day, to sit down, oh God, and share ideas among themselves as men and women, to see how our country can grow from strength to strength. And as we meet now, oh God, today for this launching, we pray your blessings, God, upon, oh God, those who have called such program. Continue, oh God, and to fill them by the power of your Holy Spirit as they are called to serve, equipped to make a difference in our country. May they, oh God, work together as one for the betterment of our society, of our people. May the spirit of transparency, the spirit of integrity, a spirit of honesty be part of the policy as we find new ways to improve, oh God, our economy. So that the spirit of openness will be part of the guide. Take full control, oh God, of this program, of those who are called to serve, being part of this department. They can act accordingly and responsibly. But into your hand we place them, God, at this time, as we start, oh God, today. We pray for a spirit of discernment, so that things can go not according to our own will, but according to your will. One country, one people. We put aside our differences to see what we can do as one. That this country of ours, that is Montserrat, can make a difference in the Caribbean and the world. And to your hand, God, we bless, God, this program. Bless us, lead us, guide us, and guide us, for we have no other help. But all our help come from you, who made the heaven and the earth. Bless us now, we pray, with thanksgiving. Amen.
would like to start off by welcoming the Premier of Montserrat and Minister of Finance and Economic Management, the Honourable Joseph E. Farrell, the Deputy Premier and the Minister of Communication, Works, Labour and Energy, Dr. the Honourable Samuel Joseph, the Honourable Charles E. Kernan, the Minister of Education, Health, Social Services, Youth Affairs, Sports and Ecclesiastical Affairs, the Honourable Charlena White, the Deputy, So the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, Honourable Charlena White, the Deputy Governor, Honourable Lyndall Simpson, the Financial Secretary, the Honourable Philip Chambers, the Reverend Jesna Lewis Charles, the Permanent Secretary of the Office of the Premier, and the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Communication, Works, Labour and Energy, Mr. Colin Fergus, and our other invited guests. In December 2021, BAS Consultancy Service was commissioned by the Ministry of Communication, Works, Labour and Energy to market Montserrat's new remote work stamp. The stamp will give professionals and entrepreneurs the opportunity to experience a work-life vacation balance by trading the hustle and bustle of city life for the peace and tranquility of island life. I'm going to be introducing a few speakers to the podium this morning who will be giving us an oversight on why we're doing the Remote Workers Program, as well as the branding around the program and everything else. First up, I'd like to invite the Honourable Easton Farrell, the Premier of Montserrat, to give a speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bass. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. All right, sound better. It brings me great pleasure to be here today as we launch Montserrat's Remote Workers Program. As we know, the COVID-19 pandemic has brought with it numerous challenges to our personal, recreational, and professional lives. But it has also created a unique opportunity for individuals to work from any place they choose. And we hope that Montserrat will be their place of choice. To those of you looking for a home away from home, we are delighted to offer Montserrat as your new workplace. I now invite you to start sending in your applications for Montserrat's Remote Workers Stamp. We know you have options, but Montserrat offers a unique experience for all of you. Our people are friendly, and our breathtaking natural scenery provides an authentic Caribbean vibe. The island is peaceful with a low crime rate. This means you can work safely in Montserrat while enjoying hikes in the mountains, a picnic on the beach, and learning about our culture. This will be a perfect way for you to escape usual hustle and bustle many of you may be accustomed to. Our breathtaking surroundings complement our ability to stay digitally connected while enjoying quaint Caribbean living. Our island services cater for individuals, couples, and families, and include a range of accommodation and dining options. Transportation services including car rentals, historical sites and attractions, spas and healthy lifestyle, activities, and water sports. COVID-19. Race will be a factor influencing where persons choose to work. In this regard, I am pleased to say that Montserrat has also effectively managed COVID-19 transmission. Our last case was in July of 2020. And as of today, January 29, 2021, we have no active cases of COVID-19 on island. This speaks volume to our health services and its ability to detect and treat and contain the virus, and also a testament of the vigilance of our peoples. We know that you would fall in love with this warm charm and the ease with which you can become a part of our local community. We are the Emerald Isle of the Caribbean, and we invite those of you listening or viewing today to escape, work, and explore all that Montserrat has to offer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the Honorable Joseph E. Farrell. Up next, we have the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Communication, Works, Labour and Energy, Mr. Colin Fergus. Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. Population. For Montserrat to be sustainable and less dependent on aid, we need to increase our population. In fact, this has been a sustainable development goal at least since 2008. Apart from the Returning Montserratian program, I cannot think of another local initiative that seeks to increase our population. In September 2020, the Ministry of Communication, Works, Labour and Energy began exploring the possibilities of a program that would help to boost the Montserrat economy, the Remote Worker Program. This initiative looks to capitalize on a growing global trend for persons to work from home, or for that matter, anywhere around the world. We are looking for the program to benefit a wide cross-section of persons on Montserrat over time by drawing on Montserrat's unique world appeal. So that will include car rental companies, accommodation owners, from the small one-bedroom apartment to the very high-end accommodations. It will also include our restaurants, supermarkets, and retail outlets. They will all benefit from a successful program. Normally, we would talk about maids, pool persons, carpenters, and etc. Indeed, they too are expected to benefit from this very program. Now, I'd like to say a special thank you to the creative young Montserratians who have put this program together in a short space of time. From the software programming to the marketing, branding, and overall management and logistics of the program. Of course, they had guidance from immigration, customs, and tourism along the way. It was not an easy feat, but they have accomplished it, and it is done well. Certainly, as we go along, we will welcome suggestions for improvement. Let's get behind these young people and this initiative so that we can grow Montserrat's population and economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the PS of the Ministry of Communication and Works. Up next, we have Mr. Royden Silkert from Hypnotic Graphics and Marketing. Royden is a subcontractor on this program, working alongside Bass Consultancy Services, and he's been responsible for the overall look and feel of the campaign. So he's just going to come forward and just give you a brief explanation of his thought process, how it all came together, and his vision behind the promotional video that you'll see at the end of this event. now introduce you to Mr. Robinson.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So the look and feel of this campaign ties directly to the previously communicated features of this program. So our intention is to encourage professionals and entrepreneurs to essentially make Montserrat their place of work and home. So in doing so, you're inviting them to get rid of the long commuting time, the lines. You're getting rid of all of this, right? And also, you're inviting them to a place that has a very low crime rate and a non-existent COVID rate. Normally, when persons are looking to get away, they look to warmer tropic areas and most of the Caribbean, but we want them to look to Montserrat. In terms of the colors for the campaign, I looked at the main selling points of Montserrat. Primarily, well, it was heavily focused on the natural aspect. So the warmer tones of the program, which involved fuchsia, orange, yellow, were geared towards or derived from our magnificent sunsets. The cooler tones, which were blue and green, were derived from our pristine waters and our verdant hills. And if you know the current branding for Montserrat by the tourism division, it works seamlessly, in my view, in terms of promoting that aspect. We spoke about getting people to leave their busy environment and come to Montserrat. We're asking them to escape the busy city life, come to Montserrat to work, and while they're here, explore our hidden treasures. The logo displayed before you materializes that. So when you're thinking about traveling, the primary mode is normally a plane, right? So we looked at integrating that aspect into the logo. So more or less, you're escaping from where you're at. You're making your way to Montserrat, which is the location to be, the place to connect, the place to work, the place to be a remote worker. In terms of the colors integrated, you can notice the blues, the greens, the future, which is the highlighting aspect, and the yellow, which would have been the plane. In addition to the visual logo, which is the face of it, we went into producing different marketing materials. So we have both on-screen and print material. So if you came in this morning, you would have been blessed with a boarding pass with some very vital information. And on there, there's a code that you can scan, and it takes you directly to our new website. Now, in addition to this, we also designed and shot 3 videos which will be rolled out as the marketing aspect goes along. So the first, which will be revealed at the end of this presentation, would be focused on Montserrat and what we are doing to be prepared for our new family members and workers. I call them family because they're going to be living here, right? So this one embodies Montserrat. We did not want to stick to the typical, how I would say, computer on the beach promotion. So this video takes you to basically our morning, or I say up to midday, of a remote worker's commute, what they do in the morning, what they could expect to wake up to when they get here, our friendly community, our COVID-free community. We're COVID-free, but we also practice or enforce those protocols. So, as I said, we'll be rolling out the first video today, and the other 2 will be consecutive going on into the campaign. What else should I say? Right, so that's it for me today, and thank you for being here today. And remote workers, we welcome you.
Thank you very much there, Mr. Roden Silkett. Would you guys mind swapping seats with me, please? Thank you. The next person I'd like to invite to the stage is the Director of Montserrat's Tourism Division, Mr. Warren Solomon. He'll also be giving a brief speech this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Veneer. And I note the word brief, so I will be. Honorable Premier, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. What interesting times we live in today. A year ago, we would have been counting down the last 6 weeks of our biggest festival on the island, and we would have been counting the upward trend of travelers visiting our shores and planning on how to attract more visitors, for whom Montserrat is that special place where its very way of life is itself an attraction. In the blink of an eye, the world as we know it has undergone its most radical change in modern times. And with it, sad moments, disruptions to commerce, negative impacts on our health and well-being, as well as financial hardship. At the end of 2019, visitor arrivals to Montserrat improved by 14% over the same period in 2018, and had also shown increases in the first 2 months of 2020. That has since been reversed, and during the period March to December of last year, our visitor arrivals have declined by over 60% and visitor expenditure by over 50%. The World Travel and Tourism Council has estimated that over 174 million tourism jobs would have been lost in 2020, amounting to over $1.2 trillion lost in tourism receipts. Now, I don't know about you all, but when I was in primary school a few years ago, we used to use the word trillion as this outlandish, unattainable figure, but not anymore. We have also seen 96% of countries around the world at some point in the last year imposing travel restrictions. Montserrat continues to be a part of this grouping, and as we have seen just this week alone, many of our sister islands in the region who took the bold step to reopen their borders months ago are now resorting to implementing strict new measures. In the early days of the pandemic, Prime Minister of St. Lucia, the Honorable Alan Chastanet, rightly said that this disease was not going to go away just like that anytime soon, and that we in the Caribbean, and by extension other parts of the world, had to learn to coexist with COVID-19. Truer words could not be said. And so today's launch of the Remote Workers Program by the Ministry of Communications, Works, Energy and Labor represents a significant step by the government of Montserrat to acknowledge that efforts must be made to give the economy a fighting chance to restart and to grow. There are many moving parts behind this project, all of which need to work in tandem with each other to ensure its success, with the customer as the focal point. The Tourism Division is pleased to offer promotional support to this program and will do so in the areas of media relations and digital marketing communications. We continue to promote Montserrat as a destination tailor-made for people with an affinity for the outdoors and nature, as well as our signature laid-back lifestyle. For many, this is an ideal backdrop for those that want to escape their own concrete jungles, traffic jams, and fast-paced cities. There's a reason why Air Studios was a magnet to creative geniuses. We congratulate the Ministry of Comms and Works on the launch of this program and look forward to helping to make it a catalyst for reinvigorating the visitor economy. Thank you very much.
Up next, I'm going to be conducting an interview with one of the ambassadors for the Remote Workers Program, Mr. Gary Moulton. But we're just going to pause for 2 minutes just so that we can reset the cameras quickly. Just bear with us. If you're just joining us now, you are tuned in to the launch of the Montserrat Remote Workers Program. I'm sat down with Mr. Gary Moulton, one of the ambassadors for the program, but also a remote worker who's currently here on Ireland. We thought it would be nice to just give you a real life feel of what it is like to be a remote worker, and also to ask him some questions about remote working in general that we think that the public will like to hear the answer to. So if you just sit back and have a listen. So how are you today, Mr. Moulton?
Oh, it's another day in paradise.
So just for people out there who may not know who you are you from Montserrat originally, or are you just a resident of the island now?
I am absolutely from Montserrat, born and bred. Grew up in Kinsale and then moved to Richmond Hill. And so I left Montserrat when I was 15 years old. So
Okay.
I am Montserratian through and through.
If you couldn't tell.
Proud of it.
So where do you normally reside outside of Montserrat?
Outside of Montserrat, I resided in Boston, Massachusetts, which is in North America in the United States. Half of my time I work in Boston, and then the other half of my time I work in Seattle, Washington, which is the other side of the United States.
So would you mind if we ask what your current job title is?
Sure, you
And
can
who
ask
do
me
you work
anything
for?
you want, by the way.
And who do you work
I
for?
got nothing. I'm transparent. So, yeah. So my title, I work for an insurance company. It's called Liberty Mutual Insurance. It's a Fortune 100 company, meaning they make billions of dollars. And I'm blessed to have a role being the director of the independent agent distribution channel, which is a segment of the company that generates about 15 to $20 billion a year.
Oh, so you can afford the remote workers program, and I see.
Well, I'm Montserratian, so Montserratians
true.
don't have to pay.
And that's a very good point. And one of the reasons why we invited Mr. Moulton today is to really put that point out there. If you're a Montserratian out there living in the diaspora, you don't have to pay the fees to be a part of the program, but you're more than welcome to come home and work from Montserrat. So, why have you chosen to work remotely as opposed to working simply from home in Boston?
Yeah, I've chosen to work remotely for a number of reasons. It's always been kind of part of my strategic plan from a career standpoint, to be able to balance life a little bit more, to be able to spend more time with family, and just really be able to take on other initiatives that's been near and dear to me. And so that's why I've always aspired to work remotely. So I've actually started working remotely since November of last year. And it made sense, too, because a large part of my team, as I started saying, is in Seattle, Washington. And so I had to, really 2 weeks out of the month, I was living out of a hotel in Washington.
So is your company pleased with the current arrangement since you've been here in Montserrat?
Yes, they are absolutely pleased. They've given me high ratings, so I guess I get to continue to be employed. And my team is delivering, on a very high level. And it really shows that you don't have to be in a co-located space to deliver and to be really productive. And that's what it's really shown over the last year. And so being in Montserrat, I've really have no issues because I've been able to connect, have all my Zoom calls, my team meetings virtually and without issue. And even in the slight case where I think since I've been here since November, maybe 2 or 3 times where electricity went out, and it went out for about an hour. There's one day that it went out for maybe 4 hours. But besides that, it's it was a non-issue. And even in that case, there's an easy contingency plan in that you can use your mobile hotspot on your phone, which can carry you through that hour or what have you, so you can continue to be connected. And that actually goes to something that I love about the program, which is the facility that is being created, because then you have another contingency in terms of where you can go and work and be connected to even faster internet service. So kudos to everyone who's really collaborated to pull this together. This is not an easy feat. I know there's a lot of hands that played into this, and I just want to say congratulations and kudos to all the members of government and workers that really banded together to get this done and bring this day to fruition.
Can you see why we chose him as the ambassador? I don't need to say anything else. So my next question was, why Montserrat?
It's
Well,
paradise.
I think it's obvious.
I mean, it's quite obvious. I mean, of course, Montserrat is my love, and I was blessed with the opportunity to travel the world, and I've been to so many countries, and there is none, absolutely none, true first-hand experience that Montserrat is the absolute best place to be. It's the best place to be for many reasons. I would say the number one reason is the people. The people. I mean, the love that you get everywhere. I mean, I can't drive down the road without, beeping everyone beeping back, everybody shining their lights, people coming over every day, dropping off fruits.
So Gary, do you do
I love
any
Montserrat.
work, Gary, remotely since you've been here?
Yes.
It sounds like
So,
play.
The great thing is that when you go to 20 years of schooling, there are people that value what's called thought leadership. And that's my value. I bring thought leadership in terms of directing, being strategic, and being able to execute on initiatives to drive billions of dollars. And the beauty is that, I think everyone could do that. It's just a matter of, what you consume, what you read, having a mindset, a growth mindset of wanting to learn from everybody you interact with. And the more that you kind of, capture and consume in that manner, the more that you can bring value to any setting, any table, any executive office to help them deliver results.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So one of the things that I wanted you to just clarify here for people who are listening who may be interested in remote work is, what are some of the key things that you required from your destination when you were moving here? Obviously, you own the property that you live in, but as a remote worker, what are some of the key things that you require from an accommodation?
Wi-Fi.
Apart from Wi-Fi.
That is the most critical thing. You want Wi-Fi and you want hot water. At least I do. So those are top two things. But from a remote worker standpoint, I think it's being able to have connectivity. It's also being able to just have a means to be able to engage with your your team. Those are the critical pieces. But I would say the number one, there's a lot of things. But the number one thing is connectivity from a remote worker standpoint.
Okay, brilliant. So you said that you travel, and we know that you travel between Montserrat and the USA very often.
Yep.
What is your experience like traveling from the USA to Montserrat? And can you give persons who may be interested any tips, any travel tips that they can use?
Yeah, there's tons of tips. I would say travel has gotten easier because there's a lot less touching. And so most things you can have on your phone versus having to print a paper for everything that you are carrying. And so the experience has been very touchless. There's things that you've got to do proactively when you're traveling. So one, in any case, in most countries, you've got to have a COVID-19 test that's done within 7 days of your travel. And so you want to do that you want to schedule that as early as possible. Because a lot of times, if you wait till last minute, you can't get the test done. And it specifically, most countries require a PCR test, not usually the one-day type of testing. And the PCR test is something that might be hard to get done. So you want to schedule that as early as possible, within the 7 days prior to your flight leaving. You also, for Montserrat specifically, you want to be proactive in reaching out to the government of Montserrat on their website to say, hey, I'm coming, and fill out the information. Basically, when you go to the government of Montserrat website, it basically has a link to the travel portion.
It does.
And you basically put your information in, and you'll get two communication back. One from the health department and one from the immigration. Okay. And the health will tell you, yeah, you're okay to come, and the immigration will tell you, yeah, we have issues, or no, we don't have any issues. Hopefully tell you don't have any issues. And so, once you've got that, then the next thing that I would do is book your kind of hopper flight, which is the flight between, Montserrat and Antigua, because you're going to be flying into Antigua to get here. And then that's the other thing. You want to be up to speed with all the protocols in the country that you have to go to prior to coming to Montserrat, because those protocols change pretty much almost daily over the last year. And you want to be privy to what you need to do prior to getting there. I mean, I've gone to the airport and I've seen people who are unable to get on the plane because they didn't have their test. And so you want to get those things prior to you traveling. And once you've got those things and you do that proactively, it's seamless.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. One of the main things for every remote worker would obviously be the cost of living. How would you say that the cost of living in Montserrat compares to where you would normally reside?
I think the cost of living is actually cheaper in Montserrat, especially if you're coming from a USA or a UK standard. Number one, rent in Montserrat, if you're renting, is a lot less costly. I mean, in the UK or in USA, the average rent is somewhere between $2,000 to $3,000 a month, US or in pounds. And so when you factor in the exchange rate, which is pretty much 3 times for the US dollar, so it's 2.7 to 1. So $1 is almost $2.70. So if you're talking about $2,000, then you're talking about that's $5,400, right? And rent's not that high in Montserrat. That's number one. The other thing is how you choose to live. So if you want to have, the expensive cereal that has to be imported, if you want to have, all this steaks and so forth, it could be, that could be, maybe a little bit more costly. But if you choose to live off of the fruits, I picked tamarinds this morning on my run, my 3-mile run that I do every morning. And again, the people of Montserrat are so great that they would bring soursop, they would bring sugar apple. I mean, the fruits are almost limitless, I think. There's coconuts that are just everywhere. And so, I mean, you could really live off the land. When I get lettuce every day, so I'm more of a salad guy, and you can get fish from pretty much most fishermen at a really low cost. I mean, it's like $30 for a boatload of fish. Don't ask me my source either, because I don't want you having rise the prices on me. But I mean, you can get fish, you can get lettuce, you can get greens. And those are really low cost. I think, food is more expensive if you're trying to get all the stuff that have to be imported. So it's a much healthier living lifestyle. And so I would subscribe to going that route rather than trying to maintain maybe a USA or UK standard of eating.
Thank you. So just before we bring this conversation to a close, I wanted to touch on one last thing that might be important to remote workers. What is it like working with different teams across different time zones?
Actually, it's an advantage working in Montserrat for me. As I said, half of my team is in Boston and half is in Seattle. And so Seattle is 4 hours behind us. So, when it's 12 p.m. for me, it's really 8 o'clock for them. So I get a head start, right? Every morning, I've got all this work done, so by the time they come in, they're like, wow, this guy's on fire. We want to get some of this Montserrat energy.
Absolutely.
What did you do? How many mangoes did you eat this morning? That's the question that I typically get. And literally, it's because Montserrat is actually at an advantage because we are, 4 hours ahead, but not so significantly ahead that you've got to work till midnight. Or, it's at a time where you can get ahead or you can choose to balance life. That enables me to go running every morning, right? And to work out. Whereas sometimes I had to trade off when I was in the USA. I couldn't because I had to just get to work. And someone mentioned it before. I had to commute, whether it's commuting to the Boston office, which would be, getting on a train and packed with other people and that type of thing, or it's getting on a flight to fly, 6-7 hours to Seattle to get to the office there. So don't have to do any of that, and I'm 4 hours ahead. It's truly paradise.
Okay, so final question,
Yeah.
which I'm sure you're very willing to answer.
Anything.
What are some of the benefits of working remotely from Montserrat, and why should everybody come here?
I think there's so many benefits. Right now, and I think our premier alluded to this, which was it's an environment that's crime-free. It's one where you leave your keys in the, virtually crime-free.
Maybe you shouldn't say that out loud.
You leave your keys in the car, and I'm proud to say I leave the keys in the car, and, if anyone went and took it up, I will know exactly who did, because 10 people will call me and say, hey, such and such is driving your car. It's one where you can leave your doors open. It's one where, you go outside and, you wake up to this magnificent sunrise in the morning. You could see the palm trees, swaying in the wind. When you think about tranquility, you can hear the beach tide rolling in. Oh my God, there's just so much about Montserrat. But as I started to say, one of the biggest benefits to Montserrat and being here are the people. There are no people anywhere else in the world like people in Montserrat. They're so loving, so caring, and especially, they're reciprocal. If you show love, they show love. If you don't show love, they're like, who you think you be? Right? So you show lots of love, and they will reciprocate. The other thing that I would say is that the cost of living is a lot lower. The time advantage is a lot better. And then, too, in terms of really being able to get what you need, you certainly can. It might take a little time. That might be the only little challenge is like if you need a backup computer or what have you, I would say, in terms of tips, bring another computer with you, because if your computer goes down, it might not be that easy to get one like the same day. You can't run out to Best Buy or something to get another computer immediately. So things like that, a computer, things like a charger for your computer. Don't bring just one, bring like two, because you want to have a contingency plan if your computer cord or anything like that breaks.
Brilliant.
But paradise. This is the place to be. Nowhere else. Trust me.
And with that, we will end. Thank you very much, Mr. Morton. You've been amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
And just to the audience here and those listening online, we're going to take another 1-minute break just so we can readjust the cameras again and then continue with the rest of the event. Thank you very much. So once again, thank you very much there to Mr. Morton for giving us such a lively interview. I'm hopeful that you enjoyed it. The event's actually coming to an end, so I'd like to take this moment to thank everyone for attending, starting with the Premier of Montserrat and Honourable Joseph E. Farrell, Honourable Samuel Joseph, Honourable Charles Kernan, Honourable Cranston Buffong, Honourable Charlena White, Honourable Kay Dorset, Honourable Lyndall Simpson, Honourable Philip Chambers, the Reverend Jesna Lewis Charles, also Mr. Colin Fergus. And I'd also like to take this opportunity for thanking all of our stakeholders that helped us to get to the point where we are today. So I'll start by thanking the Ministry of Communication and Works for the opportunity, the Ministry of Agriculture. I'd also like to thank the Royal Montserrat Police Service, the Access Division, the Montserrat Tourism Division as well for assisting us throughout. And our subcontractors, Hypnotic Graphics, and also to Fourth Dimension. I'd like to thank all of the media houses who have attended today. We'd like to thank ZJB and also the Government Information Unit. We'd also like to thank Customs and Immigration as well. So thank you very much to everyone who took the opportunity to come out today. To close out the event, I'd like to invite the Honourable Samuel Joseph to the podium. He is the Deputy Premier of Montserrat and also the Minister of Communication Works, Labour and Energy. He will be launching the application website and also the promotional video.
Good morning. I'm not sure if I could follow Mr. Martin there. I'll try my best. The world is changing and we have to change with the world. We can't just keep on doing the things that we normally do. We have to find new ways of looking at things. And as the Minister of Labour, when you looked around and you realized how work was changing, that people are no longer content to be working in an office, they're no longer content with their commute. They're finding, because of connectivity and new technologies, they have come to the conclusion, I can work at home. What COVID did was even to make it accelerate that process where your companies were forced to let the workers work from home. Governments was forced to allow their workers to work from home. So that process has accelerated, and I realized that people are saying, why go to the office? Why deal with all that cram stuff when I could have my computer? Some of my stuff does not involve me sitting down at a desk. I can sit down, as Mr. Morton pointed out, come with my strategic plan, get a team together. Why do I need to be in office? And then what happened after people realized, but if I'm not in my office, why do I need to be in my apartment in my country? Why can't I go someplace else that's more calm, that's more serene, that gives me a better work-life balance to get my work done, to spend more time with my family? Why do it in the country where I am when I can have the entire world to go to? So different countries realized that and went about launching this remote workers program. So we looked at ourselves in Montserrat and said, but why can't Montserrat do that too? We have connectivity, we are advancing, we have a lot of projects going in terms of our fiber, we have a peaceful country, we have villas, we have beaches. Why can't Montserrat do that? So the ministry decided that is the direction we are going to go down, and to pull it off did take a lot of coordination by a lot of different people to actually get it to the stage that we are finally at. So we are now at a stage where we are confident that we can launch the program. Everything is not going to be right. There are going to be things that needs to be changed. Suggestions are welcome. But as we progress, we are confident that it will happen. And not only are we confident, but as I speak, I know that we have already approved a family of 3 to come to Montserrat on the program. So the approval has been given for a family of 3 to come here. So we already have, people have already expressed interest in coming here. So with that, a lot of work was done by Hypnotic Graphics and Bass Consultancy on the marketing in collaboration with tourism. So I'm here to launch the actual, so that the application is officially open. I wasn't given a scissors, but the application is officially open and people can start applying at the point where I finish my presentation. So at this point, I would like to introduce you to the first video, as Mr. Silcott here pointed out, that will be used. There are additional videos that will come out, but this is the first one that will be launched with the program. So I invite you to sit back, have a look, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
down? What's your plan for our targets for numbers?
Well, it depends on your time period. So let's start with that. But the original minimum target that we'd hope that we do not go below, because we have done a calculation based on the expenditure to the program that we would like to recover all our fees. So we do believe if we get 10 people, we will cover, if we get 10 people, we will cover all the fees that were extended to do the program. But we're hoping to get at least 50. 50 is the target. Anything over that we will consider a success. In terms of the UK and the other countries locking down, we do not expect lockdowns to take place forever. We do expect that because of vaccine rolls out and other things, that by the end of this year, most countries will be free. Because we do not see the program as something that just happened this year, but it will be an ongoing thing that goes on for years, and it's going to be part of Montserrat tourism package to get people to come here, whether COVID is here, whether COVID is not here, whether things change in the next 5, 10, 15 years. It will be an ongoing package that Montserrat offers, like how Thailand and Mexico and these places have as a place to go. So we don't expect the campaign to end after the 3 months, but it will be an ongoing thing. And to eventually get to a stage where we have a community of people that actually come here to work.
Okay. Since you are competing with other Caribbean islands that have similar programs and globally, what is actually the marketing strategy for getting awareness outside beyond our tourism office and Instagram?
That I should leave to the marketers, but there will be contact with, we have already contacted all the Montserrat associations, both in the UK, the USA, the OECS, CARICOM. We plan to have press releases in all these places. These videos we go out. We plan to also pay for Google ads. We also plan to pay for Facebook ads targeted at the specific people that we plan to target. Also to these ads to come up on YouTube. Also SEO stuff in terms of if you type in remote work or Montserrat should come up. There will be a budget allocated to that to get all of that done. We plan to get interviews out into the major TV networks, radio networks to get the word out. And in terms of competing with the other islands, each island offers something unique. Not everybody is looking for the same thing. Not everybody is looking for a Barbados or Antigua or a resort. Some people are looking for nature and hiking and quiet. And some people want exactly opposite to what some of these places have. There are millions of people out there. We don't want millions. We are looking for hundreds. So in terms of competing, there are different market segments, and not everybody will go to a Bahamas, Cayman. Some will want to come to a Montserrat. And as Gary pointed out, in fact, Montserrat is the place to be.
Is there any more questions? Okay, that will be it for the day, everyone. Thank you very much for attending. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you know anybody who may be interested in remote working, interested in moving back home, please spread the word. The marketing campaign has just begun, and as Dr. Honorable Samuel Joseph just said, there will be a lot that will be going into the marketing behind this. It won't just be for Instagram, it will be multifaceted. So thank you very much, everyone, and we will look forward to seeing you guys soon at the next event.